things.
Cool.
Because my goal right now is to figure out what basics you don't have, which
Okay.
there are going to be a good amount of them. And then we're going to figure out how to iron out those things before we progress further. Because you're actually pretty
Cool.
far along in your ability to actually just play the piano. Um, I think a lot of it's going to be vocabulary. Like, how do you do a 2-5-1 in C minor? So it sounds like, you know,
Right.
because then when you're in the context of playing with a group and you're playing a tune like Blue Bossa, you'll know how to comp for the sax player when he's playing, and you'll be able to do like a 4-note voicing, and he'll play a solo, something like that, and your comping will complement it. Hence, comping.
Hmm.
And so the things to learn are, we're gonna start, so the 2-5-1 progression, which you obviously know what it is, but we're gonna learn how to comp to it, how to solo over it, because the 2-5-1 is the essence of all the tunes that you'll ever play in jazz.
Right.
Um,
Because I mean, Blue Bossa is like what 1-4-2-5-1, and then it goes 2-5-1 in D flat major, right?
yeah, exactly. And then back to 2-5-1 in C minor.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
that's one part of it. So you obviously you got the melody. I mean, can you play, like, do you know the song Autumn Leaves? Have you heard that one?
I've heard it, but I don't know it.
Okay. That's a good one to learn too. But we'll start with Blue Bossa. Have you transcribed anything, like any rock or like just things that you like?
I learned I know "As" by Stevie Wonder, and I know "Your Gold Teeth" by Steely Dan. Those are like the only songs I really know that aren't mine.
Let's hear you play As. Okay, cool. That's that. Yeah, that sounds really good, man. Um, so all right, I want to talk about your short-term goals. So you want to be able to play with a group. When you're talking about playing with a group, you're in the jazz program there, yeah, for guitar.
Yeah. Well, it's actually just the guitar program. It's not. It's no. Yeah. It's a commercial performance in guitar. That's the degree's called.
Okay, cool.
Like we do go through jazz, but we also we have a class called Live Performance Workshop, and we learn like today we did what is it called, Master Blaster by Stevie Wonder, and
Okay.
we've done like some Billy Withers tunes. Like it's just like commercial tunes really that you'd get called for a corporate gig or something, or like playing at a wedding, like that kind of stuff.
Okay. Are you interested in expanding in that direction, or are you more? You're more. It sounds like you're more interested in expanding specifically in the jazz direction.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one where I need the most direction.
Okay. So we're gonna go over comping, which will include left hand and 4-note open voicings, and upper extension. We're going to go over soloing, which will include bebop vocabulary, transcribing. We'll talk about goal notes and that's a good starting point for that. Then we'll talk about tunes. Can you play a blues?
I mean, no, not really, honestly. I don't really know what you're saying when you say that.
Cool, it's all good. So a blues is a 12-bar progression that is one of the roots of jazz. It's like if you ever hear, it's the 1 to the 4, 1, 1.
Oh, like 12 bar.
Yeah, 12-bar blues. Then 2. So you'll hear like. It's something that you will. It's something that you'll. We'll need to get familiar with that. We'll need to do rhythm changes, which is, if you've ever heard the song Olio, if you've ever like gone to a jam session where they play. Have you ever heard that one?
No, I don't think so.
It's basically just a 1, 6, 2, 5 progression in some different ways. So I want to teach you blues. I want to teach you rhythm changes. And then we'll go through some other tunes. Also phrasing. Okay, if I ask you to solo over Blue Bossa, can you do that at all?
Yeah, I'm not sure how well, but let's try.
Okay. Do you have a metronome?
My biggest problem is like comping while soloing. Like that's like really bad for me.
Got you. Okay.
That's
Cool. I'm gonna put that in here also. Comping while soloing. Do you have a metronome there?
Yeah, I can get a metronome.
I want to hear you solo with a metronome. And do it without comping, so just the right hand, okay. But in Blue Bossa, so like. You know.
What do you want the meta at? You think?
Wherever you're comfortable. It doesn't have to be fast.
What's this? Let's get almost over now. So with no accompaniment at all?
Yep. Yeah, just right hand. Cool. All right, so I'm beginning to see the things that we're gonna have to focus on. Do you know your scales?
I mean, yeah, note-wise, my fingering, I don't think I know it perfectly, but like note-wise, yeah.
Okay. Can you just turn on the metronome and do a B major scale for me? Pretty slowly.
B major scale.
Whatever tempo that was, do it in eighth notes.
Eighth notes, okay. Oh, that's weird. Just one octave?
No, two.
Yeah, okay.
And do it so twice that fast, eighth notes to that. So if that's a quarter note, play eighth notes.
Why am I keep on playing that?
Nice. Okay, play an F major scale for me. Same thing. With the metronome. Cool. Okay. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna get right into some specific things that I'm gonna want you to start out with. Okay? We're going to start with scales, but for the first week, I want you to do them very slowly, and we're going to focus specifically on form.
Okay.
Play what you just played me in F major scale, and focus on your hands, like observe what they're doing.
With the met, or just play it?
Yeah, with the metronome. Okay, I want you to notice a couple things here. When you're playing, your wrists are going up and down. And I want to we're starting at a very basic level right now because I want to get that ironed out before we build on it, so we're building on the right building blocks. So we're going to start with form and how you're actually touching the piano, okay? So a lot of people, especially without formal training, tend to be very tense in their hands, and they will use their wrist to try to up and down and all this weird shit that's really not necessary. The goal is there are two goals to have in mind when it comes to touch and how your hands are interacting with the piano. The first is consistency. You want to keep your wrist as static as possible in both height and moving like that. So if it's a scale, if it's a F major scale, your wrist should look like it's sort of just floating and then floating. And then you're playing the notes. Now you notice it has to jump a little bit when you cross over, but you want to minimize that jump. So tuck your thumb, when your thumb gets tucked under, it's your thumb that's doing the tucking. It's not your wrist that's going like that. Your thumb is actually tucking under to go from there to there. But now look at also what you're doing when you put your thumb under, and I'm glad we have this angle on your keyboard. I'm gonna have my hand like this so you can see. You're going like this with your fingers.
Oh, okay.
You don't ever want to do that. That will cause tendonitis and arthritis eventually when you play enough. You want to have your hand be so relaxed, like you could shake it out and just have it there, so if I turn it on its side it looks like this. Just like a mannequin. It's in its most natural position and it's there. And then when you press, all you're doing is you put a little tiny bit of weight on your thumb, and then when your next finger comes up, all you're doing is lifting your thumb and putting down your next finger in contrary motion. And then the next finger is just contrary motion without any finger ever coming up above the line of your knuckles. So yeah, where that is now looks pretty good. I would lower my seat if I were you. Your elbow is like too high.
I'm on a drum throne right now.
Oh, perfect. And by the way, this video, this will go on, this recording will go online, so I'll send it to you, and I'll chop it at an appropriate point, probably like just a few minutes ago when I started showing you this stuff. But then you'll be able to see, you'll be able to rewatch it as many times as you want and see what I'm doing. I'm not. Did we discuss that? How I put all my lessons online when I teach lessons?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. All right. So if this is your hand, and like this hand is the key bed, all you're doing is like if this note is pressed right there, then the next note, it's like that. That's all. Super, super relaxed. And then you'll be able to do it really fast. So what you were doing before was like...
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah.
I mean, like not... I'm exaggerating for the purposes of understanding it, but like you were lifting your fingers up like this. That's very bad for you. Keep them just in a relaxed position like there. And then you can use all your fingers like that and do it very fast. Sit up straight for me. Yeah, your elbow is still too high. Your elbow should be almost the same height as the keyboard.
Yeah, we get. Better.
Much better. Yeah, I mean, it could stand to come down even a little bit more, but that's still much better than it was. Cool. Yeah. Much better. Okay. Now notice how there's like a straight line from your elbow to the fronts of your knuckles, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be easier to play the piano that way. So try doing a scale, just your right hand now, and do a major scale in F with what I told you. Just one octave. Nice, that looks so much better already. There's an exercise that I'm going to give you that I want you to do every day. It's this is actually one that Herbie told me that I should do like 7 years ago when when he like first showed me how to fix some of the shit that I was doing wrong, which is have your thumb on and on note 2 octaves away. So start with C. Okay, now this is to practice your thumb going like underneath to whatever note you need to get to. So the first note you're going to play is actually now your pointer finger in 1/2 step inwards. Yeah, and so that, and then your thumb, and then a 1/2 step outwards with your pointer finger again. So it's like. Yeah, exactly. Now when you're doing that, make sure what you're doing is moving your wrist, like as though you were you want to like move your wrist just slightly so that you're not like angling your hand like that, right? So it's just your wrist is over this note and now over this note and now over this note. So your wrists are going in a little bit and out a little bit. Yeah. Now, So do that 4 times, and then move a half step away from your thumb. So now it's a whole step. Yep. Now another half step, so it's a minor third.
Oh, then just keep going.
And then a major third.
Yeah. Yeah, it's major third.
Yep. Now be careful because I'm noticing your hand, and your fingers tend to like tense up like that. You don't want to do that. Make sure that they're not tensing up. Make sure your wrist is like, your hand is basically straight like that. Hands slightly curved down in a very relaxed position the entire time. So even when you're doing the major third, it's just gliding. And then a fourth. And then a tritone. And then a fifth. Does that make sense?
Yep. Cool.
So,
You want to do it?
what? Just wait for 1 second, because the next step after that is you do those same notes, but you use your middle finger now. So on and so forth until you get to a fifth. Then you do the same thing with your fourth finger and with your fifth finger. So you're actually, so it looks like this. Your fifth finger is tucked in. Yeah, but now that's what you want to be, what this is going to train you to do is to be careful to not do exactly what you're doing right now, which is when you use your pinky, you're not tensing up and like moving in like that. You're keeping your elbows, wrist relaxed, arms completely down. The only thing that's different is your thumb is crossed under all the way to your fifth finger. So the majority of the work is being done with your thumb. I'm going to rotate my hand so you can see. It looks like this, which is a hard position to keep. But what you're doing is this.
Right.
So keep, like, your thumb is just crossing down beneath your pinky finger there.
Okay.
And you're going to be jumping now. When you do the fifth, it's like, it's hard as fuck.
Right.
So that's part of my daily exercises that I do, and I do that in 3 keys. So I start on C, and I do the whole exercise of 4, 4, 4, and then the middle finger, and repeat it, and then repeat it with the fourth finger, and repeat it with the fifth finger, and then when I'm done with that, move it up a half step. Now your thumb is on C sharp, and you do the same thing. And so on and so forth, and then I do it on D. And then when I'm done with D, I finish the exercise. And you can do it at whatever speed you want. I was doing it very fast just now, but just do it as slowly as you need to in order to get it perfectly. That's the most important thing right now, is going to be form. Okay? So then the way that I do that as a daily exercise is I go through those 3 half steps one day, and then the next day I start another half step up. So tomorrow I would start on E flat and do E flat, E, and F. And then the next day I start on F sharp and do those 3. And then the next day I start on A and do those 3. And then the 5th day I'm back to C. So that's an exercise I want you to do every single day. I'm just going to call that the thumb exercise. Yeah, but do it slowly. Actually, like, decidedly do it much more slowly than that. I mean, I would say put the metronome at like 50 or 60 beats per minute, and do either 8th notes or 16th notes depending on how fast it's really comfortable for you. Maybe start with 8th notes. But yeah, just do it. Make sure I don't have a metronome with me because my phone is recording, and that's what I use as a metronome. But that's a great tempo to start. And I'm going to stop you for a second. If you find yourself feeling tense, then slow it even more. But like that tempo that you were at, you could do quarter notes at that tempo, and it'll still be great. The slower you do it, the more precise you're able to notice your technique. And right now we want to notice technique. So even if you're doing it like you could be doing it that slowly and it will still be effective. So just make sure that you're as slow as you need to be in order to have perfect, completely relaxed technique. And I want to give you I want to give you scales to do too. So play yours. Well, we talked about the way that you're supposed to play scales. I have a video that describes all the fingerings for the scales.
Okay.
So I don't need to take this time to show you that, but I want you to go through my video. Of scales and fingerings, and it might even be in another lesson that I taught. But like, sort of browse through the videos and let me know if you can't find it, and I'll help you find it. I know it's in there somewhere.
Okay.
So, but for the next lesson, I want you to be able to do all the major scales. In fact, I don't know, how much do you want to? Well, we're doing one lesson per month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So actually, do all the scales in all the modes for the next lesson.
Okay.
Because you have a long time, so you can do them as slowly as you need to, but just make sure it's perfect. There are like 0 mistakes, and your form is perfect. At whatever tempo you get, it doesn't matter. It could be as slow as you want. And with the correct fingering for every mode. So if I say play F Dorian, do 2 octaves, you'll play this. I meant to say F sharp, obviously. I meant F sharp Dorian. But so you can do it perfectly and relaxed with the right fingerings in perfect time.
Cool.
Okay.
And it's cool for learning jazz standards and stuff. My professors actually play at a bar that's pretty close to my place, and they do an open jam every week. And they're great musicians, so it'd be great to do it with them. You know.
Awesome, man. Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about standards then. Let's get into that direction. So we're gonna talk about Blue Bossa. The things that I'm going to teach you are comping. So if somebody's playing Blue Bossa, you can go. That's like basic. If a sax player is playing and there's a bassist playing, you would play something like that. But then there are a few different types of comping. So that's open voicings. We'll start with 4-note open voicings. But then I'm also going to show you left-hand comping, so you can play like that. And then I'm also going to show you upper extension comping, so you can use like that sort of thing.
Cool.
Now then we're gonna get into soloing, and I'll show you some bebop vocabulary, which we're gonna start with enclosures actually, because that's the basis of bebop vocabulary.
Right.
and then we're going to get into some more extensive lines. So like enclosures is like I strayed a little bit by the end of that. But then for full lines, it's like that wasn't a great line to do over that, but there are different ones that work over minor and different that work over major. So we'll do some enclosures, we'll do some lines. We'll eventually get into transcribing, but I think that's for a later day. And we'll talk about goal notes because all the bebop lines that are really solid are based around having a point of starting and a point of ending and understanding what happens in between. It's sort of like anything, but being aware of that is a rarity to a surprising degree in musicians. Okay, so let's just start with comping. I'm going to give you 4-note voicings to this, and I'm going to give you a basic bossa pattern, like bossa nova pattern. Which, if this is the tempo, the rhythmic pattern is just this. And the thing is, I could explain more of the depth of like why that is the pattern, but I think we'll save that for another lesson because that's a long history of what a clave is and then how that incorporates into this type of music. But we'll forget about that. Just learn this pattern for now, and it'll be effective in jam sessions. So if you play, so I'm going to first teach you how to structure a 4-note comping. Okay.
Okay.
Can you play a C minor 7 chord?
Just like root?
Yeah, with the minor 7? I can't. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear because of the speaker. Yeah, that's great, that's it. Alright, so the I'm just figuring out the best way to explain this to you. Okay, play a C minor 9 chord. Yeah. Okay, now let go of the root of the chord. So now play that. Okay, and now take the take the second note from the bottom now and move it up an octave. And play it into with both your hands. Yeah. So you have your E flat on the bottom, your B flat. Those are the 2 notes your left hand's playing, and then the D and the G are the 2 notes your right hand's playing. That is the first, most simple 4-note comping that you will be doing in this context. Okay?
Okay.
Now, to build each of the chords, you can build that 4-note comping from any chord with the method that I just showed you. You start on your root, you play your whatever upper extension you want. In our case, it's a minor 9 chord. You let go of the root because you don't need that in your voicing, and then you take the second note from the bottom and you move it up an octave. So if you wanted to play an F minor chord in that way, you could do F, take out F minor 9, take out the F, Move the second note up an octave. Yeah. So in the most simple form, you could do C minor. But we're going to go one step beyond that, and we're going to talk about voice leading, okay? Because I feel like you're already advanced enough to not just do that first basic step.
Right.
So with voice leading, you don't want your F minor chord to be that far away from your C minor chord.
Okay.
You want it to be as close as possible, actually. So there are... The way that I do this, which is a little bit of a roundabout way, is you look at the notes you're playing in your C minor, and then you look at what you need in order to make an F minor chord, and what you don't need. So like your first note is an E flat. Is that in your F minor chord?
It's an F minor 7.
Yeah, so leave it. This one, the B flat, is that in it?
No, it's 4th.
Exactly.
4th note.
So now pick the closest note in F minor to that, which you could go up or you could go down. For these purposes, I'm going to go down because there's already a missing note in between. The missing note is F, right? So F is a chord tone, so you're basically like skipping every other chord tone. So now you have your E flat, your A flat, and this, the D, that's not in it, right? So let's move that down to the C. And your G, that is in it, right?
Yeah.
There you go. So now you have your comping. So your first yep. Now one of the keys here is going to be understanding why we're doing this. So make sure that...
I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said something. It must be my own echo. So one of the keys is understanding why you're doing this. So you have to know how you got there. So and it's not just a memorization process, because you're going to be using these methods of creation in all sorts of contexts. You'll use it as much in giant steps as you're using it in Blue Bossa. Okay? So we have our first two chords there. And now the next chord is a D diminished 7 chord. So in diminished 7 chords, you should use the root because they're dissonant enough that you need something to ground it, even if the bass player is playing the root. So I would take the lowest note, which is E flat, and where do you... Yep. And then the next note, do you need to move that? Yep. And the next note, do you need to move that?
No, it's 7.
Exactly. And the next note after that?
Yeah, we do.
Yes, I would recommend it. Now, in a diminished 7 chord, one unique quality is you don't actually have to move that G. The 4 does work in a diminished 7 chord. However, I would, for the purposes of being basic right now, I would move it to be the 3. Yeah. And then after that, you want a G7 chord, but I would use the flat 9 because you're in a minor key. So figure out what you need to change about this comping to be a G7 chord with a flat 9.
5, 3.
Yep.
7.
Yeah, exactly. You only have to change one note. Isn't that cool? Yeah, and then back to your original. Or, if you wanted to, now, you could go downwards, because you're actually a little bit closer to this. Which, I know I'm using the root there, and I said I wouldn't. But if you use the 9 there, then there's a minor 7 in the comping between the 9 and the 3. So you don't actually want to use your 9 in the root of a minor, chord comping. So I would change it to the 1. So it could be, this is your G7, could be going down to this for the 1. Or your G7 could be going back up to the 1 there. Either way. So that's your first section. I'm just going to play that for you, and you'll have it on the video too. So that's your comping. Now for the next section, see if you can do this. Build a minor 9 chord on the E flat minor using the way that I showed you how to build a C minor chord. No, just with one. Wait, I'm sorry, I couldn't actually hear that. Play that again. But do the whole process from the beginning. Like play the minor 9 chord.
Bring it octave up.
Play.
And then. Hold on, please. I'm blank right now.
It's okay. Start.
Oh, just a second. Sorry, I think I activated something up. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Now, there's the one step that you forgot, I'm pretty sure, because I'm trying to follow along by listening to what you're doing, because I can't quite see what notes you're playing. But it sounds like you didn't actually take out the root. Did you take out the root there?
I did take out the root.
Okay. So play it. And what notes are you playing there?
F sharp, C sharp, F, and...
Oh, yeah, that's exactly it. Awesome, you got it. Nailed it. Beautiful. So now your next chord is an A flat 7 chord. I would recommend making this an A flat 13 because you can, and it works voice leading wise. So there's only one note that you actually need to move here. Can you find which it is?
That's the C sharp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interface is acting up. Next lesson, I'll have it more set up.
Okay, it's all good.
Better.
Yep, exactly. And now your next chord, which is a D flat, see if you can find where to go there. Play a D flat major 9. That's a tougher one. I'll give you a hint. 3 out of the 4 notes are going down. Play it again. Tell me what notes you're playing.
I'm playing D sharp, C, D sharp, D sharp. Oh,
Okay, no, that's not it. Here, I'll give you another path to get there. Do the same thing that you did on the E flat minor chord to build that comping, and build it on a D flat major 9. That sounded right. What notes?
C, D sharp, D sharp.
Yep, that's it. And the way that you got there was, I mean, if you take a step back to what you didn't even actually do to get there, you got your root major 9, take out the root, and move this second note up the octave. So your comping is. And then, or to end it, I would, for voice leading purposes, I would actually leave the 4 in the top there of the D diminished 7. So you have your D, A flat, C, G. To then all you do is move the C down a half step. And then
sharp 9.
Say that again?
But that's the sharp 9.
Flat 9. Because the 9 is the A.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Another comping you could use there, just so you have a couple options, is the sharp 5, sharp 9 comping, which is F, B, D sharp, and A sharp. It's a really powerful comping. And then you go back to one of your 2 original C minors, either that or that. I would usually go to this. So the bridge will be like this. The bridge will sound like. Or if you do the other G, it's. So that's comping for the whole tune in 4-note voicing. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do that for me right now because we have video and you can go back and learn it and keep practicing it. So I'm just going to continue to give you a couple more things to do for the next lesson. So that's one thing I want you to get. And if you get it really amazingly, if you like get that down in a few days and you're like, okay, well, what the fuck do I do now? Do it in every key.
Okay.
Because it'll be really powerful if you can get all, because those are the same 4-note voicings you'll use in every single tune. So if you can get that pattern down in every single key, you'll be a few steps ahead already.
Cool.
And are you okay with like transposing? Can you do that pretty easily?
I don't know. I mean, it depends how complex the voicings are.
Okay. Well, with the ones that we just did, if you have trouble with it, you know how to actually build the voicing. So like, let's say now we want to do it up a half step, right? So you can say, okay, this is my first comping, let's just put it up a half step. Or you could say, now I'm starting on D flat minor, so 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, take out the root, take the second note from the bottom and move it up an octave, and now we have it. And then the next chord is F sharp, and then I can't remember exactly. I think we did that. And then I think we did. Those are the compings up a half step, and then do it up a half step from there, and up a half step from there. If you have time, I have a feeling you will. I have a feeling you'll get this stuff pretty quickly. Okay, so now the other thing I want. Do you have any questions about that before I move on?
No, I just gotta check. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is just left-handed comping, so you can accompany your right hand. The most simple thing to do in a minor song like this is you have your root voicing, right? You know how to do that. if you take this 1 and you turn it into a 9 by putting it up a whole step, it's a pretty nice crunchy comping. So you can either do that, or you can take that 9 and put it up the octave. That's also a nice comping. This is the most basic one you can do without sounding dumb, because if you do it on the root, it sounds too basic. But if you take out the root and put in the 9, it's pretty good. You can solo in C. And I'm going to show you what I did after that now. Cool?
Yeah.
Alright, so there's your 1. Your 2, so the key to left-handed compings is just building an interesting, crunchy voicing that you don't need any spaces between of chord tones in it. It can be like everything can be very compact, but it just shouldn't be in root position. So if this is your 1, then your 2 could be this, because you want to voice lead, which means taking each voice and making it move to the closest possible position. And if here you have your 7, 9, 3, and 5. And then if you move your pinky down, now you've got your 2, the D diminished 7, which is the 1, 4, flat 5, and flat 7 of D diminished 7. And then for the G, you could just move your thumb down if you want, but I prefer to make it a little more dramatic and move it all up. So you have your first note is your F, which is the dominant 7. Second note is the sharp 9. Sorry. So which is A sharp. Third note is B natural, which is the 3, and fourth note is D sharp, which is the sharp 5. It's kind of a complex voicing, but as long as we're just doing left-handed voicings, I might as well show it to you. And then that leads nicely back to your original one. Excuse me. So your voicing it ends up being, if this is your metronome, it's like this. And then the next note, the next chord, is the same comping as the same voicing as the first chord, but up a minor third, up to E flat. And for the purposes of voice leading, the next change to this is taking the D flat, and which is the minor 7 of the E flat. And if you look at it starting from the A flat, now this just becomes the 3 of A flat. And you got a nice 13 voicing there, because your thumb is the 13. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep. And then you can move this note, the F sharp, becomes an F, which is the 3 of the next chord of the D flat. The F becomes the E flat, which is the 9 of the next chord. And then you have your 6 here, which you don't have to move, and your 7, which you don't have to move. Tell me if this is too advanced, because I'm skipping a few steps here.
Totally fine. I can do it.
So that's over your D flat. And then the next, then you can go back to what you already did before, which is the 2 diminished 7 to the 5 with the sharp 9 and the sharp 5 to the 1. I think so, yeah. Yep, that's it, exactly. Then, so the bridge ends up sounding like this. was also just thinking about something. You don't that rhythm that I showed you earlier. That's the busiest rhythm that you would want to use. You can actually thin it out. Sometimes if I'm comping for myself, I'll just if this is the tempo, I'll try to keep it here. It's like. I'm trying to think of too many things at once. I'm not doing good lines, but you get what I mean. Like I'm taking out a lot of the notes in between, and just playing the and playing like bits and pieces of the rhythm. But you don't have to play the whole rhythm. You know, if I were to comp for myself, it might sound like. There are other things that we will get into that we won't right now.
Cool.
Does that give you a good basic overview of left-handed comping?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, sweet. I'm gonna just write down the things that we've done. So we did left hand. We did 4-note voicing. Next time we'll do upper extensions. I don't think you need that because if you get these, I want you to do them on all the keys.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to start talking about some soloing vocabulary, but I don't know if I want to draw it into this context yet. Do you have my sheet of bebop licks?
No, I don't. Do I want one?
No, do you have it? I have it up on.
No, I don't.
It's on one of my videos. Let me see if I have it right here. I can just send it to you. Oh wow, here's a. Here we go. Okay, got it. I'm gonna just drop these into Skype. Did a file just go through?
Yeah, let me check. I'm not seeing any. Maybe.
Let me see here. Ah, there, no, it didn't here. Okay, it's sending now.
There it is, nice.
So these sheets of paper are like pure gold when it comes to bebop.
Okay.
And I want you to just pick one. These are all in major, but they can be sort of translated to minor. Let me think of which one I want to actually give you. I want to make sure that it's right. Okay, let's do this. I got one. This is sort of a mishmash of some of these major ones because the ones that I have up here on the cliches pattern are all in major. So this is in minor. So what we're doing here is we are enclosing the minor third in the end of the lick. So we're starting with the 5 up here and ending with the minor 3 down here and creating a line that draws the 2 together. Okay?
Okay.
I'm debating with myself right now because this might be too advanced to like do before we actually study enclosures. But
Okay.
I think how many hours a day did you say you have to practice?
Generally at least 4.
Okay, that's a really good amount of time. All right, just get this lick. I'm not going to teach all the intricacies of the lick to you, but I want you to get this in all the keys, okay? Okay? Just be able to play that in all the keys and make sure that the timing is right because there's a syncopation to it. And if you want to add onto the end of that something interesting, you can go. It'll be a little like maybe a little dissonant for Blue Bossa, but if you do that in a session and you're playing Blue Bossa, it'll sort of pique people's ears. It'll be kind of cool. And that happens over a 2-5-1. Okay, it happens over a minor 2-5-1. So get that and be able to, if you can translate that, if you can transpose that to all keys, then do that. So then when you're in C sharp, it'll be like. Does that make sense? I'm sort of doing this on the fly as I'm showing it to you, but that's C sharp, and then do it in D, so it'd be like. And then D sharp and E and F and so on and so forth. However, let me write this down that we've got a line. I also want you to have a basic understanding of enclosures.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to do that. All right, I'm going to give you an exercise to do over Blue Bossa.
Okay.
Let me think about how this is going to go. Okay, so you're going to enclose the 3 of every chord. And you're going to hit the 3 on the 1. So the first chord, the enclosure is going to be this. Yeah. Now, do you understand why that's an enclosure?
Because it's just surrounded by the chord tone?
Yeah, exactly. So you're surrounding it by half steps, except for skipping the chord tone itself. You can also. That's a weirder one, but yeah. So let's just do that, and then so you'll do that for C minor, and then to F. And then at the end, if you want to do that again, you can. So I'm not gonna play it for you again because you have the video and you'll be able to go back and listen to it and figure it out.
Yeah.
So do that, and then again, if you have time, do it in all the keys, because being able to enclose the 3 is a very important aspect of knowing where you are and being able to navigate in the bebop context.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's just talk about your practice routine. You've got the thumb exercise. You've got the scales. You've got enclosure exercise over Blue Bossa. You've got the minor bebop lick over Blue Bossa. You have left hand comping. You have 4-note open voice comping. And that's all we've done, right?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like that is enough to give you a lot to do over the next few weeks.
Right.
There are a couple other exercises that I would recommend doing, which I go through at the beginning of the long video that I have, the like well-rounded jazz pianist video. Have you seen that one?
I've seen bits and pieces of most of your videos, but I don't think I've seen it all the way through.
Okay, just check out the beginning of it. I believe I go into exercises like that one, and then the like. In fact, let me just send you this other book of exercises.
Okay.
It's really solid. It's a bigger file, so it might take a minute.
I know.
Is that sending?
Let me check. I haven't got it yet.
What's that?
I haven't got it there.
Okay, it says it's working on it. Oh, I see. It'll take a minute or so. Okay, so that's
Okay.
sending out. It's a book of exercises that is. It's all just like. And stuff like that. I do it every day for like a half hour.
Okay.
But I would, so I would recommend like at least 1 hour of your daily practice, if you're doing 4 hours of practice, should just be technical exercises. So that includes
I was planning it.
Scales, thumb exercises, these Behringer exercises. I mean, those 3 things alone will take up plenty of your time. But then also do the that exercise I just showed you. So I'm just gonna say also do Behringer, and I just call it the trumpeter exercise because it was my old teacher Jim Trumpeter who showed it to me. Cool. So yeah, do that stuff for like at least an hour every day. Get your enclosures to Blue Bossa, get the minor bebop lick, left hand comping, and 4-note open voice comping, and try to do it in all the keys if you can, and that will like start you on a really solid track to be able to really hang at these sessions that are going on. At least in Blue Bossa. Then we'll start going on to like other tunes and stuff. Is my video not showing anymore?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Did the video stop?
No, I have the download thing is like still up. I don't know if you already took that out. Maybe it's frozen.
No, I didn't. Here, let me see.
No.
Oh no, it's almost done. It's almost done sending. Cool. So I feel like we have a good we've got a good start. Do you have any questions about any of the stuff that we've been going over?
No, not really. I mean, it's just all practice for me at this point, just going through everything a lot.
Okay, sweet. Well, I'm gonna put this video up online, and I'll just post the whole thing. Some videos I'm trying to like chop up to do little to show them in bits, but this one I'll just put it up as one long lesson. Starting from where I really start getting into some of the exercises. So hit me up anytime if you have any questions about any of this stuff. Like if you want to, you can always. Do you have? In fact, do you have my number? Do you have my phone number? Did I ever give that to you?
No, you did not.
Here, let me send that to you, so you can text me if you want. That's usually the easiest because I'm on the road so much of the time. Sometimes I'm only available via text. But if you ever want to just send me any questions or anything, just hit me up and I'll be happy to answer.
Awesome.
Did that Behringer exercise book come through?
Yep. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, beautiful. Cool, man. Well, this should be up by tomorrow. I'll message you the link when I put it up. And then we can take it from there.